So as we are looking at inference today, we know from previous inference lessons in reading that we can use inference Iggy to help us to find the answer. Because we know that inference Iggy helps us to make inferences from a text and explain and justify these inferences, picking out evidence and quotes from the text. So he helps us to do this by acting as if you are a detective. So you're looking for not what you're explicitly told in the text, but you're looking for what might be meant by it. Now, we know that there are different types of questions that people can ask to check that you have an understanding of the text. But today we are going to be focusing on one specific type of question. The question that we're going to be focusing on today is this one here. Now, these types of questions are called the 5 W's, and they are used to check that you understand why, how, what, who, or when something has happened. So these questions will often start with one of the 5 W's or how. And we're going to have a look at some of these in more detail today. So my question here is, why did Fred cover his watch protectively? Now we know it's an inference question because it has that W, it has that why, and it's also something that's not giving you an answer by looking at the text. It's something that we need to read around the text and think, what does that text tell us about why he covered his watch protectively? Because nowhere in the text does it say, Fred covered his watch protectively because. We have to be detectives and we need to read around and find all the clues that might tell us why he did that. So as always, we need to start by thinking, where is this in the text? Now, we can see that on one of the first few pages that we've read today, it says, Fred stared down at the watch, covering it protectively with his hand. I've also highlighted the word why here. It means that it's asking you for a reason. So you must make sure that you use that magic word because in your answer. So we can start to think, I found it in my text. I found the words covering it protectively. Now I can start to think, well, what was this watch made of? And if I read on, I can see that it's stating that it's made of steel. Then I can use my understanding of the book to actually realise, oh, do you know what? They wanted to use steel and mix that with the flint to make the spark for the fire. Now that's the reason why they wanted to use Fred's watch, but that doesn't answer my question of why he wanted to cover it protectively. But if I carry on reading, it said, my father gave it to me when I went to boarding school. I can then be a detective because I can use my prior knowledge, my previous knowledge of the book, to know that Fred and his father did not spend a lot of time together. And I know this because Fred was asked to convalesce with his cousin in Brazil when he was unwell. Now that's me thinking all the way back to maybe 2 or 3 reading sessions ago, and I'm thinking, I'm using my prior knowledge of why this might be special to Fred to make him want to cover it with protection and to really keep it safe. So now I'm starting to think, Fred also went to boarding school. Now, boarding school, if you're unaware, is a school where you go, but you also live there too. So you don't go back home at the end of each day. You go back to one of your rooms inside the school. And this suggests to me that even when Fred was younger, that his father was too busy to look after him. So all of this is giving me the opinion that Fred wanted to cover his watch protectively because his dad bought it him. He didn't spend much time with his dad. It was very, very important to him. I also know that from reading the rest of the chapter, which you will have done before you answer the following questions in a moment, that he also had Fred's initials engraved into the watch, which also made it very, very special to Fred too. So now I've had this idea in my head, I can start to scaffold my answer. Now, I would love to see a lot of you, in fact, most of you, if not all of you, to be answering your questions in full sentences. Now, we've done a lot of work on full sentences. We know a full sentence means that you are answering the question using the words from the question. Now, that sounds a bit confusing, but let me show you. So here my question is, why did Fred cover his watch protectively? And I started my answer by saying Fred covered his watch protectively because. So I actually haven't added anything new here. I have just stated what the question had asked me in the first place. When you've started to answer your question in a full sentence, you can then elaborate and expand your answer using what you thought about and what you know and what that is telling you without actually telling you. So I've started to put my answer by saying, Fred covered his watch protectively because he didn't like the idea of using it to make the spark for the fire. His father gave it to him, which suggests that it was special to him and that he wanted to keep it safe. Can you see that my answer is quite long? It's not really long, it's not a paragraph, but it's a good few lines when they expand over the whole page. So when you are giving me your answers for your inferential questions, that's what I would like to see you trying to do year 4. I would like to see you trying to expand your answers using what you already know about the text, because you are all fantastic with this text. We had lots of great conversations about it and in our Zoom meetings, and I know that you really understand the text by now. So this is your time to show that you understand it by putting all of that knowledge into your answers that you do so well. Now it's your turn. I would like you to try this question on your own. So, why did Con need to concentrate when she was trying to make a spark with the flint and the steel? Pause the video and have a go at answering this question, please. Okay, so you will have noticed again, it's a why question. It's asking you to explain your answer using the word because. So you might have found in the text the area where Con had to concentrate. So you can see here, she was concentrating, she bit down on her tongue, her eyebrows furrowed. Now you may have noticed that earlier on, using your prior knowledge, she accidentally dug the flint into her own skin. Now, do you think that would hurt her? I think it would hurt her too. So she needed to concentrate when she was trying to make a spark because she knew that she'd already hurt herself the first time and she didn't want to hurt herself again. We could also make the correlation between how flints look. We know that in our vocabulary word today we saw a picture of a flint and they are pretty sharp, so they could be pretty dangerous too. So can you see year 4 that I'm not actually finding the answer from the text? I've read around it and I've made this inference, this guess, being a detective, to try and figure out, well, why would she need to concentrate? Oh, that's it, because she'd already hurt herself once. It's just like if we hurt ourselves, if we're running around in the playground, you might fall over. You then might make a really conscious effort not to fall over again. So you might concentrate when you're running around the playground, okay? So that might be what your answer might be for that question, okay? So as always, you'd answer it in full sentences using the question in your answer. So Con needed to concentrate when she was trying to make a spark because. So now I can start explaining that the flint is sharp and could be quite dangerous. She had already dug the flint into her own skin when she tried it the first time, so she needed to make sure that she didn't hurt herself again. So all of this information is nothing new that I didn't know before, but I am just using what I have been given from the text and turning that into something that could quite possibly be my answer. Okay, year 4? Okay, so in your resource pack today, I think there's about 5 or 6 questions all to do with those 5 W's and our how. I would like to see all of you today writing in full sentences. So I've included lines on the page for you to actually write on. So I don't want to see anyone now just writing the answer by saying she'd already dug the flint into her own skin, blah, blah, blah. You actually have to try now and start writing in full sentences, okay? We will keep practicing because practice makes perfect and you will be fantastic. You are fantastic. So that is your task for today. Really looking forward to seeing your fantastic inferences. I know that especially Natalia has made some fantastic inferences, so has Ibrahim, so I would like to see so many more children trying this too, okay? Have a lovely rest of your day and I will see you in our next video. Goodbye, year 4.